My son left me in a nursing home and took my house, but he forgot one thing. It was still in my name. I raised my son to be kind, to be responsible, to always take care of family. But the second he thought I was too old to matter, he dumped me in a nursing home, took my house, and acted like I didn't exist. At first I thought it was a mistake, a misunderstanding. But then I found out he had legally transferred everything to himself behind my back. He was planning to sell my home, my memories, the life I built, just so he could make a profit. He thought I was too weak to stop him, but what he didn't realize, that house was still in my name, and I was about to teach my son a lesson he'd never forget. Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. For 70 years, I built my life brick by brick. I wasn't born into money. Everything I had, my home, my savings, my dignity, came from hard work and sacrifice. And I did it all with one goal in mind, to make sure my son, Eric, had a better life than I did. I worked long hours, took extra shifts, went without so he never had to. I put him through college, helped him get his first car, even supported him when he was struggling to find a job. And how did he repay me? By stealing my house and throwing me away like garbage. It started with small things. Eric began visiting less. At first, it was once a week, then once a month, then barely at all. I brushed it off. He's busy, I told myself. He has his own life now. But then, one day, he came over out of the blue. "Mom," he said, smiling a little too much, "you're getting older. Living alone is dangerous. I think it's time we look at other options for you." I frowned. Other options? He sat across from me, his voice dripping with fake concern. Like assisted living, a nice place where you don't have to worry about anything. I chuckled. "I don't need assisted living, Eric. I still drive. I still cook my own meals." He sighed dramatically. "Mom, come on, be reasonable. It's for your own good." Something about the way he said it sent a shiver down my spine, because it didn't feel like a suggestion. It felt like a decision had already been made, and I had no idea how right I was. A few weeks later, I came home from grocery shopping and found a moving truck in my driveway. My stomach dropped. Eric was standing outside, directing movers like he owned the place. "What's going on?" I demanded, heart pounding. Eric turned, all smiles. "Mom, great news. I found a beautiful nursing home for you. They have a spot open, but we have to move fast." I stared at him, disbelieving. "You're moving me out of my own home?" His smile didn't waver. "Mom, let's be realistic. You're not getting any younger." Something in my chest snapped. I had given this boy everything, and now? He was treating me like I was nothing more than an inconvenience. But I wasn't going anywhere. Not without a fight. I stood there, staring at the moving truck in my driveway, my groceries still in my hands. Eric was grinning, acting like this was some kind of gift, like he was doing me a favor by kicking me out of my own home. "Mom, come on," he said, placing a fake soothing hand on my shoulder. "This place is too much for you to take care of. You'll be so much happier in a community with people your age." I shrugged his hand off. "And who exactly told you I was unhappy here?" He sighed like I was a child throwing a tantrum. "Mom, I already signed the papers. The nursing home has everything you need, medical staff, social activities, and meals provided. It's a great deal." I clenched my jaw. He had already signed the papers. That's when I knew. This wasn't about my well-being. This was about him. I set my groceries down, taking a slow breath. "Eric, where do you expect me to go while you sell my house?" His smile faltered for the first time. "Well, because that's what this is, isn't it?" I cut in, my voice like steel. "You don't care about my safety. You care about getting your hands on this house." His expression darkened. "Mom, don't be dramatic. It's just a house." I let out a cold laugh. "Oh, really? If it's just a house, why are you in such a hurry to take it from me?" Silence, because we both knew the answer. He wanted money, and he was willing to get rid of me to get it. I stepped forward, my voice dangerously calm. "Tell me, Eric, how exactly did you sign over my house to yourself?" He swallowed hard. I had some paperwork drawn up. The lawyer said it was for efficiency, so I could help manage your affairs. I cut him off. So you forged my signature. He shifted uncomfortably. Mom, don't make this a big deal. I felt cold. For 70 years, I had worked for everything I had. I had sacrificed, saved, built this home, brick by brick. And this boy, this ungrateful child, thought he could take it from me with a few pieces of paper? Number. I wasn't going down without a fight, and what he didn't realize, the house was still in my name. And I was about to teach my son a lesson he'd never forget. I stood there, my pulse steady, my mind racing. Eric thought he had won. He thought that by faking some paperwork, by manipulating the situation, he could bulldoze me out of my own home and take what was mine. But what he didn't realize, he had made one massive mistake. I straightened, keeping my voice calm and measured. Eric, let's go inside. He hesitated. What? Why? Because I want to see the documents you signed, I said smoothly. I assume you have copies, right? Since you're such a responsible son who's taking care of me. His throat bobbed. Yeah, sure. But, Mom, I already talked to a lawyer and... Great, I said, stepping past him and marching into my own home. Let's review them. I heard him curse under his breath, then follow me inside. In the living room, Eric pulled out a folder of legal documents and laid them out on the coffee table. I picked one up, my hand steady as I scanned the words. He had transferred the house into his name, claiming it was for estate planning purposes. The signature at the bottom, it wasn't mine. I lifted my eyes, my stomach twisting with anger. You really thought you could get away with this? I asked quietly. Eric scoffed. Mom, you're being ridiculous. It's just paperwork. I was going to let you live here. I cut him off. Oh, until you decided I was too much trouble and moved me into a cheap nursing home so you could sell this place for a profit. His face twisted in frustration. Mom, stop being paranoid. I was just helping. I smiled. Oh, honey, you're about to find out what real help looks like. Eric didn't know it, but I already had a lawyer. The moment I had gotten suspicious about his sudden concern for my well-being, I reached out to an attorney friend of mine. And guess what? Eric's fraudulent transfer, it was completely illegal, and he was about to pay a very heavy price. I picked up my phone and dialed a number, loudly. Who are you calling? Eric demanded. I grinned as my lawyer answered. Hi, Mark, I said sweetly. Can you come over? I'm looking at some very interesting paperwork, and I think we need to file a fraud report. Eric's face turned ghost white. You wouldn't, he stammered. I tilted my head. Oh, Eric, you just tried to steal my entire life. You have no idea what I'm capable of. And as I watched him panic, I knew he had just made the biggest mistake of his life. Eric's face turned pale as I calmly spoke to my lawyer. Mark, I need you to bring the documents we discussed, the ones proving that my house was never legally transferred. Eric's mouth opened and closed, like a fish gasping for air. He had no idea that I had already been 2 steps ahead. Wait, Mom, please, he stammered, holding up his hands. We don't have to do this. We're family. I smirked. Oh? Now we're family? Funny. You weren't saying that when you were trying to dump me in a nursing home and steal my house. He ran a shaky hand through his hair. I was just trying to make things easier for everyone. I laughed. Easier for who? You? So you could sell my house and pocket the money? He flinched, his silence confirming the truth. That's when I knew. I wasn't just taking my house back. I was going to make him regret ever crossing me. By the time my lawyer arrived, Eric was visibly sweating. Mark set his briefcase down and smiled at my son. Eric, I'd say it's nice to see you, but given the circumstances, well, let's just get to business, shall we? Eric tried to act casual, but I saw the way his hands trembled. This is all just a misunderstanding, he muttered. Mark raised an eyebrow. A misunderstanding? You forged your mother's signature, filed fraudulent ownership documents, and attempted to illegally evict her from her own home. Eric's face drained of color. Mark pulled out official paperwork from his briefcase and laid it on the table. Here's the thing, Eric. Your so-called transfer was never valid. Your mother's name is still on the deed. Eric's eyes darted to me, panicked. I just smiled. Oops, Mark continued. That means your attempt to sell the house, completely illegal, and now we're moving forward with charges. Eric stood up so fast the chair nearly fell backward. Wait. You don't have to do this, Mom. We can fix this. I'll undo everything, I swear. I crossed my arms. Oh, I know you will, because I'm not just taking the house back, Eric. I'm suing you. His jaw dropped. You wouldn't. Mark cleared his throat. She would, and she is. Forgery and real estate fraud, that carries some serious legal consequences. Eric looked like he might throw up, but I wasn't done yet. I picked up one of the papers Mark had brought and slid it across the table to Eric. You see this? I said sweetly. This is an eviction notice. Since you were so eager to kick me out of my house, I thought I'd return the favor. Eric's hands shook as he read the document. You can't do this, he whispered. Oh, but I can, I said, grinning. This is my house, and as of today, you're trespassing. Mark nodded. You have 1 week to remove your belongings, or we'll have law enforcement escort you out. Eric collapsed into the chair, his face buried in his hands. His entire plan had crumbled, and the best part, I wasn't done yet. Eric sat there, staring at the eviction notice like it was a death sentence. His mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. I leaned forward, my voice calm but firm. You have 1 week to get out of my house. If you're still here after that, I smiled. The sheriff will be happy to escort you off the property. His hands clenched into fists. Mom, please, he whispered, his voice full of panic. You don't have to do this. We can fix this. I raised an eyebrow. Oh? Like how you fixed my living situation by dumping me in a nursing home? He flinched. I crossed my arms. Face it, Eric. You tried to take everything from me, and now you have nothing. Mark, my lawyer, sighed dramatically. Honestly, Eric, if I were you, I'd start packing. You've got a lot of legal trouble coming your way. Eric's face went white. What do you mean? Mark pulled out another set of papers and placed them neatly on the table. Well, let's go through it, shall we? He tapped the first document. Forgery? That alone could land you with a felony charge. Eric's breathing quickened. Mark tapped the second document. Real estate fraud? That carries major legal consequences. If your mother wanted, she could press full charges. And, well, he shrugged. You could be looking at prison time. I watched as fear finally sank in. Eric's confidence, gone, his arrogance, shattered. He was finally realizing I wasn't playing games. Mom, please, he tried again, his voice cracking. I wasn't thinking. I just wanted to make things easier for both of us. I let out a bitter chuckle. Oh, I'm sure you did. You just wanted to help yourself to my house, my assets, my life, while dumping me in a home and forgetting I existed. He swallowed hard, his hands trembling. I was stupid, okay? I was selfish. But I'm still your son. I tilted my head. Were you thinking about that when you stole from me? When you lied? When you tried to sell the only home I've ever known? Silence. Then, in a small, pathetic voice, he whispered, Mom, where am I supposed to go? I took a deep breath, standing up. You're an adult, Eric. Figure it out. His head snapped up, his eyes wide with shock. You always told me to be independent, I continued. You always said people should take care of themselves, that no one owes anyone anything. I smirked. Well, now it's your turn to live by those words. I turned to Mark. Make sure the paperwork is filed immediately. I want him out. Mark nodded. Consider it done. Eric sat there, frozen. The same man who had just tried to throw me out on the street now had no idea what to do. And me? I had never felt freer. Eric didn't move. He just sat there, staring at the eviction notice like it was written in another language. You're really doing this? He finally whispered. I folded my arms. Oh, I'm absolutely doing this. But I'm your son, he sputtered, like that alone should wipe away everything he had done. I leaned forward, my voice calm but sharp. And what did being my son mean to you, Eric? Because from where I'm standing, all it meant was that I was useful until you thought I wasn't anymore. Then you threw me away like trash. He flinched, his jaw tightening. I was just trying to secure my future. I laughed, actually laughed. Oh, so it was about your future. How convenient. What about mine? I gestured around the house. This was the home I built, the home I planned to live in for the rest of my life. And you thought you could just take it from me like I didn't matter? He didn't respond because there was nothing he could say. I took a slow breath, calmer now. You made your choice, Eric. Now you get to live with it. His face twisted with panic. Mom, please. I I don't have anywhere to go. I raised an eyebrow. Well, I hear assisted living facilities have plenty of open rooms. Maybe you should try one of those. His eyes widened. You did it to me, I reminded him, my voice soft but merciless. So, why shouldn't I return the favor? He opened his mouth, then shut it, because he knew he had no argument left. A week later, Eric was gone. The sheriff showed up on eviction day, and just like that, he was out of my house, out of my life. And me? For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. I spent the next few weeks fixing up my home, reclaiming every inch of it as my own. I put my favorite pictures back up, changed the locks, and finally slept peacefully, knowing my house was mine again. Eric? Well, from what I heard, he bounced between couches, calling up old friends, begging for a place to stay. But funny thing about people like him, once they have nothing to offer, no one wants them around. He called a few times, but I never answered, because the truth was, I didn't need to. He had made his bed. Now he could lie in it. Some kids think they're entitled to their parents' lives. Eric thought I was his property, that my house, my money, my future were things he could take because he felt entitled to them. But in the end, he learned a very expensive lesson. Have you ever had family try to take advantage of you? Drop your stories in the comments. I'd love to hear them.